Hello, everyone. Welcome to TSAM Digital. My name is Anna, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Brian Lynch. He is the head of US business at SteelEye. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Anna. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much. So, Brian, before we go into our discussion points today, would you like to say a couple of words about yourself and about the work that you're doing at SteelEye?
Sure, yeah. So as you said, I'm responsible for building out the US business, right? SteelEye is a successful European company headquartered in London. We've been going for close on 5 years now. We have 140 customers, and the growth story has been fantastic. The US is the next frontier for us. So I've been out here almost a year. We've been finding our feet, building our office, building our team, and just very excited to bring this product to a US audience.
Fantastic. So actually today we want to talk about a few things, and I'm really excited to get into them. My first question would be, why is there increased pressure around communication surveillance as of late?
So I think the market, the regulators have realized that some of the rules that they've had in place for many years now to collect electronic communications are starting to become a bit blurred, right? As people start to use more social media. I was just on a call with a client who was concerned about Twitter, right? People are concerned about LinkedIn, WhatsApp, right? There are so many channels each of us has to communicate, and especially post-pandemic, the blurring of the lines between business communication and personal communication has happened, and we've seen it happen. And I think it's sort of snuck up on the regulators, and suddenly they realized that there was this vast information pool that could be hiding potential market abuse, potential insider trading. There's any number of conversations that could be being had that just weren't being collected. And so the response from regulators is, well, let's find some people, let's shake the market up a little bit so that people realize this stuff is important. And that's what we've seen happen over the last year or so.
That's really fascinating. And it sounds like a really complex environment to navigate. So why should asset managers care about the increased scrutiny and the pressure associated with communication surveillance?
So I think, ideally you'd want any investment firm and anyone who's dealing with the public markets to care about the aims the regulators have, right? We want to maintain fair and transparent markets. And so, if you're not surveilling those communications, then the potential for people within your firm to be using them for, nefarious means is there. So you really do have an obligation as a compliance officer to be doing all you can to prevent those kind of actions. But the regulators have shown that if we don't, they will submit fines, and they will, you will end up in the press. And so far, that press has been, it's been the big banks that have been the headlines. But you can be sure that as they go through this, their net is going to expand. And so I think it's important for people to get a grip on this now, and not wait until it's the regulators who are knocking on the door to ask you, why you haven't got this under control.
I mean, it sounds like it's quite a complex and difficult task on an asset manager's hands, right?
Yeah, it is difficult, and it's not so much complex, right? There is complexity in the diversity of data that everyone has to collect, right? We're collecting email, Bloomberg. We're collecting in Europe. We're collecting voice, video, chat. So it's the diversity of types of information that creates the complexity. But the other complexity is really privacy, right? And sort of, as I say, with that blurring of the line between public or corporate and private conversations, figuring out how you harvest data off someone's personal device and keep it relevant to the business needs you're trying to solve without, being big brotherish and snooping on people's personal conversations. That's difficult, right? So that's definitely an area that people are looking very hard at to try and figure out how they navigate those lines.
And what are some of the essential rules tied to communication surveillance? What are the challenges when complying with them?
So the rule's simple, right? Any electronic communication related to the business must be preserved and must be preserved in a tamper-proof format for between 5 and 7 years, depending on the regulatory jurisdiction that you're looking at. So the rule on the face is fairly simple. There is a little bit of complexity about what is considered an electronic communication. So the US market has decided that voice recordings are not an electronic communication. But there is a school of thought that says if you are transcribing a voice recording and actually recording a transcription of it, that you've created an electronic communication. And that's one that's still open for debate. So far the market has steered away from that, and voice has not made it into the mix. But I predict as we digitalize more and more, and as we are merging voice and video, etc., that eventually we're going to see that come into the mix. So that's one of the challenges, is just deciding what constitutes electronic communications. And the regulators don't tell you specifically. They describe it at a high level, and then it's up to compliance departments and legal departments to form an opinion on what's appropriate. And sometimes they get that line wrong, and that's when the regulators will come in and set the line based on finding people, and you realize, okay, we've all got to move our boundaries based on what we're seeing in terms of regulatory action. So those are the sort of constant challenges that these firms have to do, is evolve with the market and evolve with technology, which is obviously moving at breakneck speed.
Absolutely. So I find this really interesting, and I was wondering if you could maybe give us some examples of recent finds, just for our audience to kind of know what's going on out there.
Well, the one that's on everyone's sort of mind is WhatsApp, right? And I think WhatsApp gets a bad rap because it's the one everyone thinks about. But there are numerous social messaging platforms that are being used, and it's funny. I talk to clients in different segments, and some of them, the crypto segment has seems to have embraced Signal, and we've got people who are embracing Telegram. WhatsApp is fairly ubiquitous and is used extensively, and I understand in South and Central America, it's a big platform. So depends on what segment and what business sector you're in. It might change what the underlying platform is, but the challenge is the same, right? Is that these platforms they started as social platforms, right? They sit on your personal device. And so what we've seen is over the last year, I think we're going to ratchet up, well north of $1 billion. And we could get close to $2 billion in fines, SEC and FINRA fines and CFTC fines for big banks who have transgressed the e-coms archiving rules for WhatsApp specifically.
That is quite mind-blowing, to be honest. I never knew that. So my next question here, and I'm really quite curious to understand more about how SteelEye can help, with these problems, how to mitigate those concerns.
So SteelEye have this extremely flexible data backend, and that's been core to our success, right? We built a data fabric, a data platform that can ingest any type of data that firms need to ingest, to be able to archive, and then to be able to run queries on and searches across. We bring in transaction data, we bring in communications data, we bring in voice, we bring in video, we bring in text, we bring in attachments. And so having that platform that is, cloud native, so from a scale perspective, we have, infinite scale. We have the flexibility to consume any type of data that's required. So now it's just a case of figuring out, where do we get the data from, and how do firms manage the policies as far as how they sort of maintain that data and surveil it. Work with numerous partners in the industry who provide channel options for us to bring that data in. So we have firms who do recording, firms who do transcription, translation. We have partnerships with at least 4 different firms who are, deep into the social messaging space. So WhatsApp, WeChat, Signal, etc. Different models depending on what the risk is that the firms are trying to resolve or mitigate. Like, are they trying to allow internal communications to take place via WhatsApp, or are they trying to facilitate communications externally with clients or with investors? So we have the nice thing is we have this broad platform and we have this broad set of solutions, so we can have a conversation with just about anyone in the industry who has a regulatory concern and find a solution that fits their needs. And so that's what we're out here to do.
That sounds really interesting. I mean, it was a really fascinating discussion. So many interesting points mentioned that I'm sure that the asset management community that are watching us are going to be very thankful for. So thank you, Brian, for your time today and for sharing your expertise.
My pleasure. Thank you, Anna, and thanks to TSAM.